I've been told I have to snog the mic. I said, it's been a while since I've snogged. Anyway, I remember a year ago, the night before the Supreme Court verdict, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking, what if they lose? What if we lose? Now, if I was scared and I had nothing to do with it, can you imagine what it was like to be for Women's Scotland? The fear, the terror that you started something that might lose in the glare of publicity with so much at stake. And I say that because although they won, they might not have won. It was a court. So I would just like to say that it took incredible courage and bravery by Marion, Susan and Trinity. Can you imagine what it felt like to be them? Yeah. And I couldn't have done it. And I just want to say we should give them a big cheer. See, we might have thought that if the highest court in the land, in law, agrees with us, that we would be okay. I know there was great celebrations and we were right to celebrate. Well, I think we've learned some lessons since then, haven't we? One lesson we've learned is that lawfare and the courts may help us, but they're not sufficient, they're not our saviours. We've also learned that actually it's grassroots campaigns that both tirelessly got us to the Supreme Court, because For Women's Scotland were just that, but that actually we can't rely on the courts and law to deliver equality for women. Imagine having to say that in 2026, but it's true. Shameful. We thought that the Supreme Court and its clarification that, and the idea that you have to go to court to be told that a woman is actually based on biological sex. The idea that you need a court to tell you what you already knew. But nonetheless, they agreed with us. Phew, right? But we then thought that gender ideology would wither on the vine. Well, we were wrong. We were very wrong, and I'm afraid that's a hard lesson to learn. Now, I don't want to be overly pessimistic. It's been damaged. It's been exposed. We're up against, though, maybe different opponents than the simply obsessive trans activists. And so I just want to look at who we're up against. We're up against institutions that are crawling with equality, diversity and inclusion, trans inclusion, that's ingrained in every orifice of those organisations. We're up against institutional corruption. Institutions like universities, councils, arts organisations, the media, and we've heard brilliant speeches from so many of those institutions, what's happening in prisons, what's happening in sport and so on. But those institutions are so far removed from their core purpose. It's a much deeper problem even than the trans issue. They're so far removed from their core purpose that they leap on fashionable causes to give them a sense of mission. So you've got the NHS. They can't sort out waiting lists. They can't sort out staffing. They can't make the ill well too often. But every bit of energy and enthusiasm they've got goes into a hard and purposeful stamping down on the rights of their own frontline staff, like the Darlington nurses, Jennifer Melee and Sandy Peggy, because they think they can sort that bit out. And the lesson I've taken from the Lords is that we're up against not, as I say, the trans activists, but the political cowards. Because yes, there are some MPs and peers who are ideologues, who really believe this nonsense, who really do not know what a woman is. There are some of them, but they're a minority. And by the way, if you read the manifestos of the Green Party and Plaid Cymru, it'd scare the life out of you. I mean, they make the SNP look like moderates. But most parliamentarians that I talk to know that this has been an attack on women's rights, and they agree with us. But they're not here, are they? They're not here because they're not brave. Understatement. They're scared of backbench rebellions. They're scared that people will think that they're not progressive and liberal and nice. They self-righteously, endlessly, and I mean bloody endlessly, stand up and give speeches about violence against women and girls. And I should cheer them, but I can't, because I know that when it comes to the hard issues, they're silent. They're silent when it comes to women being exposed to men in single-sex spaces. They're silent when it comes to things like the grooming gangs. There are certain women that they're not prepared to defend. And that means that all their self-righteousness in relation to their feminist speeches about violence against women and girls means nothing to me. They've got to be consistent. But so many people, when I do speak in Parliament, will come up to me afterwards, it appears, and they'll squeeze my arm and whisper, "I agree with you." But they're mute in public.
Cowards.
They let Bridget Phillipson get away with excuses, stalling, misinformation about the AHRC guidance and why they won't release it. This is a weak government that hopes for dynamism, and it looks for dynamism, and the times I've seen in the House of Lords the most enthusiasm is when they were talking about bringing in enhanced hate crime legislation to protect vulnerable transgender people. That was the time when the minister got most aggravated and passionate and said, "We are for justice." And you really did think you put that much energy into, as Justice Minister, as Home Office, into solving crimes in the country, you might get somewhere. But no, that was what got him going. It's a disgrace, it really is. And I'm worried because they also think they're going to get some dynamism out of bringing in conversion therapy anytime soon, something we've all got to be really frightened about. But the worst crime that I would accuse our new opponents of is that they make out that those of us making a fuss revel in the culture wars. They make out that we like standing out here on a Saturday afternoon because we've got nothing better to do. They think we like being troublemakers. They think, oh, they're just extremists. They even call us far right. It's ridiculous demonisation of people in the way that they do. They think that we enjoy cancel culture, that we do it for attention. Listen, Stonewall had the slogan, "No debate," but at least we knew where we stood. The worst thing about the others lot is they tell us to hush, to pipe down. In a way, it's worse. They tell us to watch our tone, watch our language, that we should accommodate, we should be consensual, that we should be moderate, that we should be inclusive. In other words, they try and compel our speech, to force us to speak in bad faith, to say what we know is not true. And what we know is true is that we have not yet won. We're not just moaning about the guidance. We know that until that guidance is in place, every corrupt institution will ignore it. Every trade union will use it as an excuse. All of the organisations that we all fought, certainly people like me, I never thought that I would be denouncing trade unions. But trade unions have betrayed and denounced us, and so we have to denounce back. What we need to do is to use our free speech, the most precious and valuable of our commodities, to speak loudly, bottom up, not top down, bottom up. We need to shake down and shake the foundations of all those NGOs, charities, public sector, corporate, HR departments. All of those people have got to feel our wrath. That's what we're doing here today. So we're back here, 1 year later, and we're back, and we will be back. and we're going nowhere until we get what we rightly deserve. It's not the world to say we as women should be treated as women. I mean, who'd have thought that was a revolutionary bloody demand? It is absolutely essential that we use our free speech to make a fuss and to shout loudly, as women up and down this country are doing today, at protests like this all over the place and throughout Europe, as we heard, organised by grassroots organisations. Oh, by the way, like just say something on grassroots, there are very well-known organisations like Sex Matters, like the LGBT Alliance, like the Women's Rights Network, and that's brilliant. Well, there's hundreds of small, tiny, nobody's heard of, names of organisations, many of you here today, and it's what matters is that we're a collective of people who come together, who might argue over a billion things, won't agree on everything politically, but on this we can all come together, and we're like a jigsaw puzzle, and we all fit together, and we then become the whole picture. And we've got to use our free speech to say, as this slogan is, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Your time is running out, establishment. We are not having it any longer, and I am proud to be here with you today. It's been a great success, thanks to the organisers. Brilliant.